States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You'd remain standing for just a moment. I'd ask Reverend Holmes to give our invocation, please.
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we ask you to bless this community, that it may be as strong as possible and serving all those who are part of the community. Be with those in the police and fire departments who guard our safety, and be with their families with the peace that you watch over each of them personally. Help us each to do our part as we encourage those who do the hard work of keeping this community active and safe. Please be in this meeting, guiding it with peace and wisdom, that the decisions made are for the good of all. And may this meeting be blessed in every way, in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend. I see it out here. It's right here. Excuse us, they have these fancy footrests for us so we don't fall and bump our chins on the tabletop. Ask the clerk to call the roll, please.
Councilman Templin.
Present.
Excuse me. Councilman Cisco.
Present.
Councilman DiGiulio.
Here.
Councilwoman Gavarrecki.
Present.
Councilman Rourke.
Here.
Pro Tem McLeod.
Here.
Madam Treasurer.
Here.
Mayor Matakas.
Present.
We have a quorum, sir.
Thank you. Ask for a motion for approval of tonight's agenda, June 14th, 2016.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Templin, supported by Mayor Pro Tem.
No.
Oh,
I'm back.
Councilwoman Gavarrecki, excuse me.
I want to make a separation here, Mayor. Claims and accounts.
Without objections, we're going to remove claims and accounts from the consent items and take it separately. And we'll take it just before that. Are there any other corrections, changes, additions, deletions? Hearing none with that one change, I'll ask for the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That's carried. Thank you. Approval of the minutes for May 24th, 2016.
Motion, Mayor.
Motion, Councilman DiGiulio. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mayor Pro Tem McLeod. Are there any corrections, deletions, additions? Clerk, I just had one on the second page. I think it's, we just have a typo. I don't think we got that job done for $152.
Second paragraph.
The HVAC for the fire department.
I need to,
I think it's $152,680.
yeah.
Okay.
For the record, on page 2, Resolution 160524127, I will, for the record, place in a comma officially, and then I will take a motion to accept the minutes as corrected. Or there is a motion in support. Would the motion and support maker?
Parties that moved in support with that one correction, accept, allow their motion to stand? All right. I'll ask for the vote then. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That's carried. Now we have some presentations tonight that we've all been waiting for quite some time, and so I'm going to ask Chief James Wilkowitz to come forward, please.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I stand before you today a very happy man. As you can see next to me, sitting in the front row, I have 4 new police officers to add to the Allen Park Police Department. So before we get to that, I'd first like to thank the Mayor and Council for being patient with me as we've tried to fill these positions over the last 1.5 to 2 years now. As you know, it's been a difficult process. I'd also like to thank the City Administrator, Mark Hibby, and the Finance Director for working to change and get the collective bargaining agreements in place for the police officers' unions, which did enhance our salary package and benefits to make them competitive in the marketplace, which did allow me, in a very large part, to fill these positions. So I have 4 young men here who have, 3 of which have started their road patrol duties, and 1 was actually hired yesterday. They are Zachary Wara, if you please stand, Adam Winger, Nathan Vitale, and Brandon Marshall. These are your new... These are your 4 new Allen Park police officers. And at this time, I'd like the city clerk to administer the oath of office.
At the end, gentlemen, I just ask that you state, I swear, I do, I affirm, whatever you feel most comfortable with. Please raise your right hand. Do you gentlemen do solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Michigan, and that you will endeavor to secure and maintain an honest and efficient administration of the affairs of the city of Allen Park, free from partisan distinction or control, and that you will perform the duties as full-time police officers to the best of your ability, so help you God? Congratulations, gentlemen. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief. Congratulations, officers. And welcome to Allen Park.
Ask them if they want to be dismissed.
I didn't know,
Doing you a favor.
I didn't know if the families are here, but you have a 7 o'clock tonight? Okay. If you gentlemen would like to leave at this time, you're certainly welcome to, because we'll give you a moment. And you've got a patrol at 7 o'clock tonight, so thank you again.
You're welcome.
All right.
Our seats up front now.
Hopefully it won't be on a citation to the person.
Yeah. Where's he located?
He probably want, if he's a first timer, he probably want to take a photocopy of it for his scrapbook. Let's just give them one more moment so they get a little ways away from the door. As the clerk advised me at our last meeting, an Open Meetings Act is exactly that. We can't close the doors. So when the people stand outside and they chat, it sometimes, or at least for me, is sometimes hard to hear.
With an eye? Well, when you said Vitale, Vitale with an eye, so not my plan.
We'll give it a try. Organizational business, city administrator would give his updates and reports.
Okay, thank you very much. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Again, to echo some of the comments of the police chief, thank you very much for your patience and that of the public as we went through that process to to make some changes that allowed us to hire these 4 young gentlemen. We're very fortunate to have them, and I think that they're going to be outstanding young men here for their entire careers. I do kind of have to chuckle on, you got one of them at least that is not old enough to go in the bar, but is old enough to pull you over if you have been in the bar. So that will not stop him there. So I think they're going to do an excellent job. I've talked to all of them, and I think they're going to be very, very good officers for the city of Allen Park for many years to come. I'm going to turn if I may, through the chair, turn a little bit of my portion over to Mr. Hammond from CE Range Company to give us an update on the engineering projects, and then I have a list I'll go through. And I did provide everybody with a copy tonight, so you don't have to take a bunch of notes quickly. So,
good evening, Mayor and Council. Bruce Hammond from CE Rains, and here to talk about the projects we have going on, especially the 2016 road repair projects that I've been talking about here the last few times. And obviously the first project is Garfield Avenue. Paving there has been proceeding well. They are going to be finishing the south side of Garfield between Colwell and Fox. And from there, they will, after the pavement cures, they'll be removing the north side, and hopefully we'll have the road done by, well, maybe by the end of this month or the very first part of July. So we've all been very happy with it, the progress, and seems like everybody, all the residents have been great in cooperating with the contractor to get this project done. Some of the other things that we're working on, as you know, just that there are 3 projects that are currently going to be before the RTAB on June 22nd. Just a reminder, that's the fire station HVAC, the Watson Street Pump Station, and the road striping project on Allen Road. One project that's underway right now, too, is the 2016 street sectioning program being done by Gaglio Concrete. They started basically in the southern part of the city and are kind of working their way north through the streets and replacing sections of roads that have been identified as being broken, bad potholes and things like that. So they will probably be here for the next couple of months doing that. We are also working on the plans and specifications for 2 water main projects. One is on Arlington and the other one is on Warwick. And lastly, the hotel project, the Holiday Inn and Hampton Inn on Enterprise Drive. We did receive a complete set of plans. We have reviewed them and passed on our comments to the owner and the developer. The process seems to be moving pretty smoothly, so hopefully here soon we'll be done with our review and approve the plans and pass them on to the building department for their final approval, and they will get started here relatively soon. And we had basically a flooding problem on the Southfield Service Drive near the Independence Marketplace and some area owned by Ford Land. They have started the excavation of that area, the retention pond, to be able to contain their water and not have it go out into the Southfield Service Drive. So with that, does anybody have any questions for me tonight?
I do.
Sure, go ahead.
The Southfield Service Drive, where the road, part of the road was already repaired, it had just washed under the road, the water that was coming from the retention pond, or?
Yes, that's what did it. It came over the, kind of like the berm, washed down into the road, got in between the pavement and the catch basin, and undermined the road right there. And so they're now in the process of step 1 is to excavate that pond, get rid of all the invasive species and things like that. So they're working on it.
Thank you.
How about with Garfield, any new surprises, or we're on?
So far so good.
Okay, we're on budget.
We're happy with the. I mean, it turned out well. Always one of the considerations you have is what's underneath the road once you remove the pavement, the sub base. Sometimes you find soft and mushy and watery spots that you have to excavate out. So far, I think there was only a very small portion that we had to do. So that's probably the best news that we've had so far. It seems it's proceeding well. So. Anything else? Okay. Thank you very much.
Bruce? Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yep. Yes, sir.
Even though sectioning is sort of self-explanatory.
Mm-hmm.
Could you explain how you go around picking the certain sections? At what degree do they have to be failing to get a section done, redone?
Basically, the DPW gives us the list of what they're looking at, but basically it's failed sections that have numerous cracks, they've settled a little bit, things like that, rough pavement, spalling pavement, potholes, and things like that are usually generally the criteria for sectioning replacement.
But generally, in the area where you're sectioning, that most of that area is pretty decent.
Yeah,
So you're
yeah,
just taking out the bad parts.
Yeah, you might have a
hoping
bad
that
section
You don't
that's
find anything worse.
20 by 40, that's bad, so, and the rest of the pavement is fairly well, it's not cracked, there's not potholes, it's not spalling, so you just take out that section and replace it, and, you know, the road should be pretty decent.
And maybe to the city administrator, the sectioning is separate from the road millage that we passed, is that correct?
Yeah, correct. We had the money that we have from the millage itself is just a portion of what is the total replacement of those 4 streets that we have on that list of Garfield, Niver, Shenandoah, and Cold. I think that generates about 1.4 million. I think the award to GV Cement was somewhere in the range of 3.1 million. So we were using some other money, but Bob is earmarked in this year's budget and in the next year's budget that around 500,000 for the sectioning and the money that we do receive from the state in road funds.
And do we have any more news on, you know, I've had a number of people call me about Moore Road. Parts of Moore are pretty bad. I know that's considered a major road.
Yeah.
Do we have any?
Not as yet. We, there was an application made to the Federal Aid Committee for Wayne County for basically redoing that road, remove and replace, and we haven't heard the results yet. We'll know in July. We'll go to a meeting and they'll release the results of the roads in Wayne County that will be eligible for, I think it'd be the 2018 program.
Okay, so that wouldn't be, even if we got approved, it wouldn't be taken care of this year?
No, no, it's federal aid money, so basically the way it works is you have to, you know, your project goes in with all the other projects basically throughout the country, and then the Congress appropriates the money. Once they appropriate the money, they give it to the state, and the state says, yes, you have it, and you can begin.
Right.
Sometimes that's a smooth process, but depending on what's happening budget-wise and politically-wise, sometimes you have to wait a little bit before you get the money.
And I guess the question I would ask after that, if that fails, what do we do as a city then, if with Moore Road?
Thank you. In the event that grant is not awarded to the city, I talked to Terry again last week and then again this morning about the possibility of looking to move a little bit of the sectioning money and start working from the border towards the inner part of the city to get that worst section. I think it's really bad sections down by Vine.
Yes.
Moore and Vine are really bad, and start going through maybe the sectioning portion there. Once you get to close to Allen, and I know that's a long stretch, I don't mean to jump so far, but once you get to the Allen portion, then you're really more into sectioning pieces as opposed to at the Vine area, you could be a couple of areas where it's going to be sectioning from curb to curb at that point. So the problem that we have is like you know, for everything is we always need more money for that to fix those repairs. So we'll do the best we can with the amount of money we have today, and then and get a plan together for next year as well.
Can I ask just?
Yes.
Did you say that grant wouldn't be available until 2018?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
That's
we're in
the
2016 now.
Right. Yeah.
So the chances are that in the next couple of years, it's going to get worse and we may have to
Yeah.
do.
The concern we have on Moore Street is as much traffic as everybody thinks is on Moore comparable to other roads, it may not hit the qualification numbers that the Federal Aid Committee requires for those areas.
Unless the road takes.
I don't even know if they take that in consideration. They're really heavy on well, they do take Payzer rating into
Oh,
consideration.
definitely. It's a combination of the
traffic counts as well.
Yeah, it's the combination of the two, the Payzer rating and the traffic volume. You put those two together, and that's how they come up with their number.
Yeah, because there was a major failure on the other side of mine.
Oh, okay.
That the road was kind of
Caved in.
caving
Oh, okay.
They took care of that.
Good.
I'm not surprised to hear that, see that, given the fact that what we found when we got to Quant and Garfield with the void of the sewer, of the storm sewer. We're seeing that along Reek, we're seeing it along Wick, and I think that's where a big portion of our problem is coming, is you've had a failure of that storm sewer system, which is just, exacerbated that's the right word I'm looking for. Exacerbated the problem even more than it already was. You have a failing infrastructure that has been maintained and then it was neglected for a couple-year period, and that couple-year period just goes many fold over, and you'll see that when I think Bruce had actually had a chart for us that showed how fast a new road will start to disintegrate over the course of time. Is real quick in the first few years if you don't go out and maintain it. So even the new roads that we're putting in here on Garfield, if you go down the one section of Garfield, they've already crack sealed those joints, and we need to make sure that stays on a program, and that is one of the best efforts that can be done to maintain the longevity of that road.
Yes, it is.
Any other questions?
Is it Mark that's always there on the job site? Is that his name,
Mark
Mark?
Deal? Yes,
Yes.
sometimes there's two inspectors there.
He seems to be all over the place. I
Yes.
see him on Allen Road.
Yes.
I see him down on
Yes,
Garfield. He's
he's doing a great job for everybody. Yep,
I've
he's
talked
done
to him
well
several
with the
times.
residents and stuff like that. Yeah, he's done good.
There are no other questions of Mr. Hammond. I would ask that we have a motion to receive and file the engineering projects update provided by Mr. Hammond.
I'll make that motion, Mayor.
Councilman DeGiulio has moved. Do I have a support? Councilman Rourke has supported. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask for the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That's carried. We'll go back to the city administrator's reports.
Thank you again, Mayor and Council. And I'm going to echo the comments of Councilman DeGiulio. I think that is one of the key factors of why we've had a smooth process over on Garfield, is that Mr. Mark Deal from Buccelli Group is out there. He is approachable to the public and is able to answer those questions immediately. And I think that's helped tremendously on that whole project. And I think that'll make it a lot smoother as we go through the next 3 streets as well.
He's always there when I go down there and talk to him, and he's always there on the Allen Road going on an errand, and he's quite a good man.
For the housekeeping report, the city in advanced disposal met again yesterday to confirm that the garbage and recycle cart will need to be placed between the street curb and the sidewalk, and that's the grassy area, or at the end of the driveway, 3 feet apart. Advanced will make every attempt to place the carts back in the same area. If they cannot, they will be placing stickers on the carts indicating where they should be placed. And that's because they get to a situation where the tree is in the way that they can't put it where the homeowner may have placed it on one side. So they're gonna have a sticker there to notify it. It's a process. We'll see how it's gonna go. They're not gonna do the entire city in one fell swoop because they've gotta jump out to make those placements. So it'll be a work in progress as they start from the Monday route over to Friday and take a couple weeks to get that out. We also have a new updated flyer coming out. Terry's office in the DPS is working to get that updated. I think that went to the printer today for a draft to come back. We've got a few council people that want to review that as well. We'll get that out and then get that delivered. It should be in the hands of the residents early next week is my hope on that. Again, as Bruce had mentioned, the street improvement millage work continuing on Garfield. And then the next street we're going to be going to is Niver and then Shenandoah. And Kolb will be the final section. That's the Kolb off of Van Born Road. The HVAC replacement project at the fire station is scheduled to start July 5th. That is subject to RTAB approval on the 22nd. And the fire chief is also working on specs for an exhaust removal system. The library has their summer reading program starting June 18th, this Saturday. The Marshall Music will be there with an instrument petting zoo. And our understanding from Sandy in the meetings is that they bring in a bunch of different instruments and the kids can just go wild trying them all out. So I guess that's how you find out if you have a trumpet player at home or a flutist or a violinist.
Or a vocalist.
Or a vocalist. Or me, I have no rhythm, so I was none of the above. Senior Olympic registrations are available at the recreation offices. Senior Olympics are being hosted by Wyandotte this year, and the deadline for the registration is June 30th. Applications for the Allen Park Sports Hall of Fame are also being accepted at the recreation office. And really good news here. Pat Hawkins gave us this information here. The community build playground at Bacabella Park is now scheduled for Thursday, June 30th. Thursday, June 30th, Bacabella Park. They'll start around 8 o'clock in the morning. If people know they're going to be there, they should call the recreation office to register. Just leave their name, just so they know who's going to be there, who they can expect. There is no need for tools or shovels. They just need helpers. Again, Bacabella Park, Thursday, June 30th, and they'll start around 8 o'clock. Pat is not here this evening because he is out checking out a new program that they just started. It started tonight, and it is the cardio drumming. It starts at 6:30, so a couple more minutes. It's Champaign Park. It's scheduled throughout the summer, and on evenings of the thunderstorms or inclement weather, they're going to move it to the ice arena into the ice area. The cost is $5 per session. They say that you need to have a large yoga-type ball, a base for the ball, and a pair of drumsticks. And my understanding from the video is that they have basically a tub that you may have seen at a graduation party where they put a keg in, a beer keg or a popper beverages in there, put the ball on top of it, and then they just stand there and they play the drums on top of it, and they do yoga movements and so forth, and it's supposed to be the newest rage. So any questions, you can call the Parks and Recreation office for that too. Street sweeping has started again, and also the water department has started hydrant flushing. They're working in the north area and working their way south. As Bruce mentioned, Gaglow Construction has started the street sectioning work in the south end near Goddard. Savone Cement has finished the first portion of the CDBG funded street sectioning work, which is near Moran, Ford Line, Michigan, LeBlanc. They will be adding an additional $20,000 worth of work in that area over the next few weeks. They're going to try to finish up with some really fine-tuned sectioning, as that money can be spent only in that area or along Roger Avenue. We don't want to get into Roger Avenue too soon because Horger is scheduled for next year, and we don't want to have the trucks traveling over the newly poured concrete. So we'll work north of Horger if we have additional money, and then come back to the section near Horger, back to Southfield after that roadway is completed. A new building is scheduled to begin construction on the outlot at the Dunham's parking lot near Outer Drive in Southfield. Talking to Dave, I'm not too sure exactly what's going to be in there. A couple stores, maybe a restaurant, or an eatery of some sort is what he thought on one of those locations. Manic Smith Group will be here on June 23rd at 7 o'clock for a public hearing with the Planning Commission to discuss the master plan update. And through Bob Katie's office, I've got some really good news regarding the bond refinancing. Standards & Poor's gave the city a rating of A-, and with that, we are now scheduled to close the bonds on June 29th. If we have any questions on that, I'm certain Bob would be happy to update everybody to what's going on there. The LED light conversion project that was approved a few months ago is scheduled to start the first week of July. DTE is also hopeful that the Southfield Road portion of the project will begin at the same time. And from the assessing office, Christine Johns informed us that the Apex drawings and pictometry imagery projects have been completed. The Apex digital sketches for all residential properties have been imported into the BSNA and are also available to the public for viewing on the city's website. I'm not certain where that was at. I tried to find it, and real quick, but we'll try to get a real easy link there so everybody can find it a lot quicker. The commercial and industrial properties will be done at a later time as they're a lot more detailed. The pictometry is the name of the aerial image capture process that produces the imagery showing the fronts and sides of the buildings and locations of the ground. They can also, they'll be able to do measurements as a homeowner. You can also do measurements to see if everything looks right on your properties, or if you're interested just measuring the distance from your house to the neighbor's house. Those images are captured by low-flying airplanes, And the flyover with Allen Park has already been completed. That was done back in March. We actually did that with the city of Dearborn, and there was a cost savings because of the timing. We were able to share that savings that us and Dearborn doing at the same time. And that imagery is also available online, and we're in the process of scheduling training for that for the assessing department as well as others. And it sounds like we'll be able to open that up to like the engineer's office, so they'll be able to go in and look at those and get measurements on certain properties as they're doing maybe a project in various areas of the city as well. The city clerk's office is busy preparing for the August primary election. And finally, the next RTAB meeting is Wednesday, June 22nd. As Bruce mentioned, the road pavement striping bid is on there for Allen Road. The fire station HVAC system replacement bid and also the Watson Street pump station bid are all on that agenda for approval, as well as everything that is on this agenda is on that agenda for approval. So we'll be busy in the morning getting everything up to the state so they can get their packets out for their RTAB members and be ready to go for next Wednesday at 2 o'clock here in the city council chambers.
Any questions of the city administrator?
I do have one more. I apologize. If I may for one more moment.
Sure.
I know Mr. Ted is here for Reek Road. We did get a report back. I'm working with Bruce to get a final report as to understand all the data that we received from our traffic counts going through the area. The chief also stopped by AJM trucking firm over in Southgate. He spoke to their HR director about the problem. They're going to notify the drivers not to proceed onto Reek north of Goddard. And he also stopped at DPS and spoke to Matt Doring about posting larger versions of the no parking signs, the no truck signs, and adding a secondary sign of strictly enforced. Once I get the report back from with Bruce and we can go through and see the times, we'll be able to share that information with the chief. I'll be happy to post it online as well. But we'll be able to work with the chief and he can be able to see at the times that he may be able to send some personnel over to keep an eye on that area for those trucks at the on Reek Road. That is all I have now.
Any questions of the city administrator? Councilwoman Gavreki.
Yes, thank you for adding the Reek Road truck stuff on there. Just going back to city and advanced disposal, how many stickers will they place on a garbage can before a resident gets it or doesn't get it? The cans will be labeled with stickers or?
Yeah, I think the biggest problem we've had right now is that we've gotten the material out via social media, the website, the Facebook page, and I think that does a great effort to get everything out. The problem that we have here in Allen Park is our residents are much older, and they're not maybe on that on those social media access there. So they're putting it out into the street, and the neighbors are maybe trying to correct them, but I think the hand-delivered flyer is going to be the key to helping move that forth because it'll be outlined clearly. It's got to go in the grass area. Talking to Bob, we chit chat here as we're staying here late in the evening. I'll be honest with you, I did not expect Advanced Disposal to get their cans out to the public this quickly. I know Bob said when he was in another community, it took 5 months for that to happen. Here they had them within 2 weeks of us awarding, or the RTAB awarding. So I think that is where a little bit of the issue coming is we just weren't prepared, honestly, to be that quickly for this.
Okay, and I understand that, and I know I've texted you several times. I'm tired of putting mine on the lawn to come home and find it in the street.
Yeah.
So today I tried the driveway, and the garbage didn't get picked up. So, so I'm like, so I know it's a learning process for everybody, and I know you've been working with them, and I know there's a lot of more important things in life than garbage cans and where they're placed, but I just wondered how many, the stickers aren't going to be removed, so are they going to continuously put stickers on there, or are they going to do one?
It'll be one of those where you can,
one of
kind of
those.
like some of,
Like a
I know
doorknob
nobody
holder kind of
I know nobody in this environment has ever had these stickers because everybody does it properly for yard waste. But if your yard waste or your recycling was contaminated, they may have stickered it. It's a sticker to come off, but.
Oh, it will come off?
Yeah, they're not.
Okay,
we're not looking to do like a NASCAR.
Okay.
Something like
I
that,
just wanted to make sure, because
Now, talking to Chris Preston, and I think this is a concern there, is if the resident wants to put the container in the driveway, that would be their choice. That's an option for the resident. The concern that Advance does not want to be placing them back in the driveway unless it was already there, because of the fact that nobody wants to drive home from work or from being out and about all day to come in ready to turn into your driveway and there's a, Allen Park
Right.
trash can, or trash cart sitting in
But
the driveway.
I was willing to try that to see if it would make it back into the driveway tonight instead of out in the street. So I'm trying to follow the rules, and some of the residents are trying to follow my lead, so I'm like, it's it's a no-win situation when you end up with them back in the street, so, okay. I know you're working hard on
And
it.
we told that, we said that to Chris and to, they have a new service manager at the location as well. He's been with them for May 2nd, he started as well, came out of Buffalo. So we talked to them. I said, the problem that we're noticing is myself or Matt Doreen or any of us have always witnessed is you see the truck go down, pick up one off of the grass, put it back in the grass, pick one off of the grass, put it back in the grass, pick one off the grass, put it in the street. The next one, the same thing, put it in the street. There's got to be some consistency here, and that's just not happening. So the conversations we're having just don't seem to be making their way to the drivers.
Okay.
They're also going to have the route manager stop in to see Cheryl and to see Terry and Matt on a regular basis, as they are the ones that hear the complaints more so directly from the residents, so they'll be able to share that right to the route driver or route manager, and he can get that word out to the drivers.
Okay, so we do have trash pickup on Friday at some area in the city, so it's Monday through Friday, right?
Correct.
Okay, so there is
Yeah,
trash pickup
I
on
think,
Friday.
the trash pickup for Friday is the Kennedy sub.
Okay. Oh, okay, thank you. That's all I had.
One last one on those trash cans, as far as people that want to exchange the larger ones for the smaller, is that time frame been set?
July 1st. It'll be after July 1st.
Will that be on the flyer?
I'm not too sure if it'll be on the flyer. We'll have to get that word out as well, though. I'll check to see if we have a space on there.
Well, and I just say that because as I attended a graduation party or two, the big subject was the trash containers. That was number one. And everybody said, well, where do they go? I go, they go on the grass. But, I go, no, there's no buts. It goes on the grass. So, and the other part is some of the older residents, and it's been talked about here by the people that have come up to the podium about the smaller containers. They're not sure how to get their smaller containers. They just, so I think it's possible, if it's possible in that flyer to address that issue, that if they want a smaller container, there's no charge, correct?
Correct. Unless they want to get the return unit
Right.
back.
Right, so if somehow we can explain that simply, which might work or might not work.
We'll do the best we can on that. We should be able to do that, though.
So just to echo off of your thing, the smaller can, I have no problem with the resident getting there, but what happens when that person sells the house and the person wants a larger can? There's a charge for that?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. The idea would be to stick with the 96.
Idea is just keep the can you got.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions of the city administrator? I'd ask for a motion to accept and file the updates, reports, and document submissions.
Motion.
Mayor
Support.
Pro Tem McLeod, supported by Councilwoman Gavarrecki. Is there any other further discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask for the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
If I may, Pat Hawkins just reports there's probably 60 to 70 participants in the,
Wow.
what was that called? The cardio drumming. 60 to 70 people at Champaign Park playing drums on rubber balls.
How long does that go on for?
I don't know.
I'll go home and listen
We
to
won't
it.
be making it.
I'll find out.
I got my yoga ball in the trunk.
Till they
Next
fall
Tuesday.
unconscious.
You get to go next Tuesday.
I will have that answered by the end of the audience
Oh.
participation.
The item that I had tonight was department head attendance at council meetings. In 2012, the council by resolution required all department heads, absent a valid excuse, to attend our council meetings. When the emergency manager came in, as part of her powers, she exercised the right to take control of the agenda and set the terms about who would have to be at our meetings and what the agenda would be. However, she did not make that a part of or emergency order 37 or 57. So I've had a request on that. If there is, unless someone wants to make a motion to rescind it, I would just say that it is in place and it should be enforced at this time. If you want further discussion, I'm happy to have that, but I don't hear any, so unfortunate for the department heads, they will be required to be attending future meetings. We're now at the public comment period. I just want to remind the people that on the back of all the agendas were our rules of decorum. I hope you've had a chance to look at them. If not, I hope you know what they are, and we'll observe them in your comments and questions tonight. So with that, any citizen wants to come forward?
Walter Danik, Bel Air Avenue. Excuse me. Through the chair, Mr. Mayor, I would like to ask the question of the engineer.
Okay.
Thank you. Bruce? Yes. What determines that Garfield and Niver become over Moore, or Reek Road?
For us, those roads were chosen before we got here to be done, so we didn't have much input in the selection of those roads.
They were chosen by who before you got here?
I assume the city administration picked them.
Okay. Does the city administration know how these roads got picked?
Maybe through the chair.
Yep, if you want to go ahead.
Yeah, the selection was done, we had the appraiser done by Buccelli Group, who was prior, doing some help, assistance for us through the, prior to the engagement of Charles E. Raines Company. Through that list there, we went through the worst, rated streets, selected those based on the community being separated into 4 quadrants. So one street would be picked for each of the quadrants, and this was all based for the millage request. Moore Street was left off it was always had been left off initially with the hopes that there would be a grant being able to come through similar to what was done on Park Avenue. Unfortunately, that has not happened yet, so we have to look at alternative means at that point in time.
Okay, so Garfield has been done, which is fine. And now we're moving to Niver, correct? In the meantime, Moore Road, we sit back, which that's a major street. If I recollect correctly, I think Reek Road is kind of a major street compared to Garfield or Niver or Shenandoah.
Let me go back and correct. When you say major street, you're right. It is a major street. Now, I think the reference of what you're saying is a major street and what our reference of a major street are going to be 2 different things. It is classified as a major street based on the width, based on the volume, and aspects of that. I think you're saying it's a major street it's a major street, a major roadway within the community, used by many residents.
And you talk about volume. What does volume do for Garfield compared to Moore?
That wasn't how the basis was at. That was looking at the worst streets at that point in time. Also, the goal here with the millage was...
You brought up volume. I want to know what volume means.
Well, but in certain aspects, the millage was not necessarily looked at to be used on what the state classifies as a major road. We get additional funding for those roads that we can earmark towards those. The millage, because it is generated by most of the residents on a local road, was meant to be used on those type of roads, where we will end up getting some major roads in there as well. I think the terminology we're hitting is going to be the right terminology.
No, it's not.
Okay, let me, under Act 51, which is the gasoline tax that all the cities get a certain amount of money on, which is the major amount of money that we have for our roads and streets. Half the money is allocated to what are major roads, and the major roads are defined sort of as those roads that either connect us to other communities or are major roads connecting large sections of the committee versus local streets. And so and basically, the major roads get 50% of the money. And the streets get the other 50%. But out of the 88 miles of Allen Park roads and streets, only 10 miles are major roads. But yet 50% of the money is supposed to go to them. And we have to do an accounting every year to reflect the fact that we've used that money in the appropriate places. When you're applying for a grant, and we have to put money toward whatever grant is given, we're trying to get more road. We got the grant, 900,000 of the $1.3 million to redo Park as a major road. We put in 400,000, they put in 900. We're hoping that that will happen again, because it means our major road fund goes much farther if we get that grant. So it's not a function necessarily of traffic, but in the grant programs, they do want traffic studies. On our streets, it isn't that. We're just looking under the Pazer studies what appears to be the very worst streets in the city that have to be dealt with first.
Not depending at all on size.
No.
Okay, thank you. The garbage thing. I hope this time, when you put out the new information about where all the cans go and what everybody's supposed to do, hopefully you send it to the south end of Allen Park. You told me everybody had it mailed except 12 of my neighbors on my block. I come here, I pick up brochures, I hand them to my neighbors. They go, I never got this. I had one neighbor said, oh yeah, I got that, I threw it away.
At lunch, I will personally walk with Mr. Katie, and we will deliver to all those houses ourselves.
You will?
Oh, absolutely.
You better bring one to my house.
With me, though, so.
Don't miss my house.
Yeah, we'll get them over there.
15920 Bel Air.
Mr. Danig, it may not have been a miss by either Advance or us on that, because because of going for a special rate to get that 14-cent rate.
Mm-hmm.
Each of the postal delivery people have to pick those up. They're sorted, but they have to put them in their bags to take them to their residents that they're delivering to. I'm not saying that is the answer, but I'm just saying it's unusual, and when you look at when it's a street, you know, I have an inclination that we didn't realize Bel Air was part of the city of Allen Park.
Oh, geez. Great. Wonderful. I love it. Thank you.
My name's Ted Scrocky. I live on Reek. Now that we have 4 brand-new officers, how about having them do a little work on Reek? Because from my understanding, there's 8% on that new studies they did of trucks going up and down my street, and not one of them getting tagged. And then when they tag a truck on Reek, it's $240 plus whatever other violations they can find on that truck, like a cracked windshield, fire extinguisher, oil leak, or anything else. You know, I don't know why. I've been up here for 6 years bitching out about this. I don't know what's taking so long.
Well, we are trying to react to it, Mr. Scrocky. You heard the report tonight.
I heard it tonight.
And
Why did it take 6 years?
well, it took 2 years to get the additional officers that we can potentially deploy to.
What happened to the officers we had before?
They weren't here.
They were here at that time when I started this. So don't tell me they weren't here. I went to 1 or 2 of them coffee things they had at McDonald's and I brought it up, and nothing was done about it. In fact, Hayes was there when I was there once.
I would just.
And we had the police officers at that time.
I would just respectfully disagree that since 2012, we've not had the officers, sir.
I brought this up before 12.
Okay.
No. And then to get to the administrator, I got a hell of a time to get to the, I had easier time getting to the EM manager than I do getting to this minister. You know? I sit out at the corner, like at the front desk over, waiting for somebody to ask me what I'm doing there. Some girl way in the back corner, can I help you? Then he sends his secretary out there and tells me it's a public street. Sure, it's a public street, but it's posted at both ends for no trucks. You know, he shouldn't send her out there telling me it's a public street.
Through the chair, if I may, when Mr. Strachey came to the door, to the counter, I had a conference call and another meeting at the same time. I apologize, I can't be in two places at the same time. I sent the administrative assistant out to try to help you.
All she had to do was tell me
I
I would stand back for another half hour waiting for the conference call.
Friday was a
It's
very
just
busy
like the
day.
time I did have a meeting with you. You know, I got a meeting with you. You got a conference call while we were at a meeting. And that was cut short on me. And I took 3 weeks, it took me 3 weeks to get there.
I am one person. I left here at 7 o'clock on Thursday and 7 o'clock on Friday. I apologize that's just how our schedule goes. We are so busy here. We don't have enough manpower in certain areas. It's just how it is at this point in time.
Hi, Greg Worth, Reek Road. I come here with a little more serious issue than semi-trucks, all right? And that's the speed of the traffic, the amount of the traffic, the behavior of the traffic. I've talked to multiple people. In fact, Mayor, I've been to your office twice. I've had multiple phone conversations with you. The last time we spoke, you said, nobody else is complaining about this. And I said, well, you know what? They're probably tired of it because they've called and nothing's being done. All right? I understand Chief Wilkowitz's issue with resources, but I see an officer up on Southfield quite often, but I don't ever see an officer on Reek Road issuing tickets. You probably know that we've had 2 individuals killed on Reek Road, one of them being a 16-year-old. I'm not going to get graphic out of the respect of the family, but I rolled up on that situation after it happened. And I don't want to tell you the gut feeling I had after seeing what I saw. And I hope I never see it again. And this is my passion, as I told you, Mayor, in your office, my passion as to why I'm coming to this group now for your help. We have people that are passing each other on Reek Road. We have our residents who, if you look, have you ever thought, why don't people park their car in front of Reek Road? Because they're afraid to. They're afraid to have their children play out in their front yards. Okay? We could generate some great revenue on Reek Road by issuing tickets. Okay? Now, the response to that I got from the mayor was, well, we only get about $10 a ticket anyways. Okay? When that's not even the case. All right? We had a rollover accident on Reek Road at Maylon approximately 2 years ago. I spoke to individuals then. Okay? It is the fiduciary responsibility of this body and our police department to ensure the safety of our residents. And what has occurred over the last year, because that's been about how long it's been since we've gotten some real attention on Reek Road, to me is almost approaching neglect. Okay? We have the officers. They're up on Southfield. They're on Southfield by the kidney place there, DVS or whatever it is. Okay? Why don't we pull those resources onto our streets? All right? We got Park Avenue. I used to live on Park Avenue. That's very bad. We have Reek Road. We have trash every morning on our front lawns. We have noise of squealing tires all right? And people honking their horns and yelling at each other. Almost saw a fist fight on the corner of Reek and Moore. Okay? Something has to be done. I did a little calculation. At 25 miles an hour, now this is from driveway to driveway. You think about 50 feet. From driveway to driveway, if a car crosses that curb, person has 1.5 seconds to get out of the way. At 35, that's reduced to under a second. So before anybody can even get the words "look out" out of their mouth, that person is already struck 50 feet away. And you know, with distracted drivers, people are looking down at their phones, whatever they're doing, they're not paying attention. The amount of traffic, I don't know what your traffic count results were, but I can tell you from living on the street, the amount of traffic has nearly doubled. Okay? So I'm asking for your help in reducing the amount of traffic flow by issuing tickets and increasing the residents' safety. Now, if this body would like me to organize some residents and bring them here to the next meeting, I can surely do that because I've already talked to a few of them, one of them being the uncle of the young man that was killed. And we got over 400 signatures on a petition to have something done at the corner of Reek and Allen, and we got a result. Now, hopefully we don't have to do that. So again, I'm asking for your help. If we can get some attention, get some tickets issued over there, not just stopped and warned, but tickets. And I would ask the residents that if you're going down Reek Road, please drive 25 and slow the people down behind you at least. Okay? Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Mr. Worth, Mr. Worth, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
You see this on a lot of city streets with the speeders, and they think from stop sign to stop sign is a drag strip. Do you notice it at any particular time of day? Have you ever kept a log? Are there same cars going by? I mean,
Actually, it was one of the conversations that I had with the chief that I informed him about HAM packaging. I can also tell you that Meyer truck drivers are also in that group that use Reek Road. But it's probably 9, I would have to say, if I would guesstimate, 9 to 11 o'clock in the morning and 6 to 8 o'clock at night. Now, you get past 7 o'clock and you get the people flying through there on a regular basis. But I mean to tell you, they're doing 35, 40 miles an hour, and I'm not kidding. It's not good, okay? You know, you can leave a legacy of safety or the alternative.
Mr. Worth?
Yes.
You know, I've seen you come up to the podium a number of times, and you've always been a very positive-minded person. And I take this in a positive way. I don't take this in a negative way. But, you know, one of the problems with Reek Road, and I know you know this, that it's a drive-through to the other cities.
Right.
People are cutting through. And I'm not too sure it's as much as Allen Park residents as it is people that don't live here.
Right.
And I think for that reason alone, that we should have some extra protection there.
Yeah.
And there are some other streets that have the same thing. And Millward Park over there gets used quite often for a lot of large events like soccer and things like that. And the residents on those streets are having the same problem of people speeding down the streets, getting to soccer practice. So it's no different than coming down Reek and speeding down the street.
Yeah.
So we have dual problems in that area.
Well, you know, I mean, I think about possibilities. Taylor, I know, if you go down Allen to North Line, they have those streets that are cut-through streets, and they have local traffic only. I know from talking to people that's difficult to enforce, but it's still a deterrent. If you go to Reek Road in Southgate, they have a stop sign at every street. And that, I'll tell you, will reduce the amount of traffic as far as the cut-through traffic, because they're going to find out that they shouldn't be there. They should be on Allen Road. They should be on Goddard Road. So that's where we need to be pushing them. And I'm sorry if it didn't come across in a positive manner, all right, but the intent is positive, although some of the remarks may have been direct, all right. I think I've done what I could before coming here to try and get, you know, the type of action and attention that we need. And again, no disrespect to Chief, but I understand the resource issue, but maybe we need to pull some of these people off of Southfield and the other areas where they are constantly enforcing traffic and move them to our side streets. But, I mean, we got a school a block away.
One more with that, because I've talked to Mark about this too. Gary Ronchek's office, you know, our state rep, I talked to them back in February about no left turn on Reek Road, because when I was walking, there were a couple people, and we stood there saying kids cannot even cross the street because of the traffic flow. And we've talked about with all the construction, when Goddard and Allen and Pelham and everything was being redone, as you mentioned, Reek became the thoroughfare. And this one gentleman, he followed people to Wyandotte, to Southgate, to whatever. Excuse me, and I've contacted the office twice, spoke to the secretary, Mark, you had given me the name, to say, can they come out, the county, because coming off of Allen Road, we've made that adjustment. They were part of the engineering to do that change, to put no left turn there, emergency vehicles only.
Right.
That's been since February. So if you can give them a call tomorrow and say this discussion had come up, I'll call back again to do it, but just as you said, power in numbers to say, come take a look at it. I haven't explained, you have your engineers working on Goddard Road right now, going toward Dix. Let them take a look at that again.
Yeah.
So, I mean.
Well, and I have, I have.
Mr. Worth, we're well
Sorry.
over your 4
Okay,
minutes.
all right, thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Good evening, City Council, Mayor. Ray McGusson, concerned citizen and active citizen. I'm here for a couple things today. I want to thank our police officers and our firemen who responded in a very fast way to my neighbor's house last week when she fell down and hit her mouth and she needed help. They came in a very fast pace. The one new police officer was there, and I want to thank them. They did an excellent job, and my neighbors needed help. They're up in age too. To bring up the thing about the trash containers, I'd like to know why we, the citizens that in homes, need to have our trash put into containers when a lot of our smaller stores are not required to do so. I've noticed a lot of bags, black bags, all down Allen Road and other streets with a number, like I counted 11 in one of them, right on the curb. It's either they did not receive any of these containers, or they need more than one, or what? But why are we allowing our businesses to put their trash in bags in the alleys and also on our curbs? I don't see why. I use Reek myself. At least once a week when I hit that street coming off of Goddard, and I go down to 25 miles an hour, there's at least one car that passes me, at least one. And a number of them will come right behind me, and I even have to slow up down to 15 miles an hour. My wife will do it with no problem. We'll go down to 10 to keep those idiots from doing what they're doing. We need some help there. We have 4 brand new police officers. I want to thank you very much for allowing us to, for finding them. Put them in our residence. Put them around our homes. That's where the help is. And another thing, I do not come up here to grandstand. I come in here to make sure that my neighbors are informed. to get answers from my neighbors. Like I say, I'm a very concerned citizen and an activist citizen now. So I want to thank you very much. You have a great day, and let's enjoy this beautiful weather we've been having, even though we need some rain, so our grass can grow.
Good evening. My name is Dennis Hayes. I live on Manor Avenue. I'd like to respond or react to a couple things that were said tonight. Bruce, I think, referred to sewer line problems. I think we all should take a look in our backyards on the property line where the fence line is. A year or so ago, I discovered that my sewer connection, I don't know whose fault it was. I believe it was the city's problem. They believe it was my problem. I paid for it. I wasn't going to argue about it and fight City Hall, as it were. But if you look down your property lines at the fence posts, you'll see they're all dropping, all along the line. The middle post is dropping in the fence. That's an indication that there's a failure. Either you can say from the city standpoint it's your problem, homeowner, because your tap is dropped off, or I could argue that the main sewer line is dropping and the tap is coming free. But I just was called by a man in this community who apparently respects my point of view just yesterday. And I went to his house, and he has the exact same problem, and he had it cameraed, and he found that his tap has come free from the main line. And this is going to be a major, major problem for our homeowners, and they better be aware of it, because it's about a $6,000 to $10,000 problem split between the two homeowners. So that's just a word of caution. Secondly, with respect to the traffic, I'm happy to hear the report, Mr. Kibbe, that you are directing the police to do something on Reek. I think it's a little too late, frankly, because I do agree that back when we had a lot more police in 2008 and 9 and 10, these problems were announced by Ted. But we have an indifference in this community. We citizens, visitors, our own police have an indifference, in my view, to our stop signs, to our speed limits. I've seen the police run stop signs with impunity. So if you're going to model that behavior, you're going to see it from the citizens. You just read Facebook. Last year, everybody was saying they're racing through stop. They don't even slow down. They don't even slow down. I saw it the other day on Moore. I live at Manor, and I'm going up towards Moore, and a guy goes roaring right through there, 35, 40 miles an hour. Didn't even slow down, literally. And that's not uncommon. So Mr. Worst's points are very important. And I think the problem is we're creatures of habit. Our police chief, God bless him, he's a good man, I'm sure. But I'm sure that they have a pattern of behavior. Okay, guys, today you go out here and you do this and you do that. You have to randomize your behavior. Okay, let's spend 3 hours on Reek today, or 1 hour, or a half hour, or something. Let's change it up a little bit. Let's mix it up a little. You can't do things the same way all the time in any business. And if you're a manager, I was a manager for 30 years. You have to inspect what you expect. And this Reek Road thing has never even been examined until recently when Ted came up and threw a fit. I threw a fit, and a bunch of us got mad, and I finally got somebody's attention. It shouldn't have to take that. Mr. Worst here tonight again. We're piling on a little bit. But dang, it should have been taken care of long ago. And finally, at the last time I was here over a month ago, I've been out of town, so I apologize not making the last couple meetings. I'd love to come to these meetings and participate in our government. I asked a question. I didn't want to elicit such defensiveness from the mayor about Doc Baker's son getting this job. I asked a question. How do you get a job? I said here at this podium, I called the building department. It was never posted according to their information. I said, Mr. Kibbe, please answer me. You can call me and answer me. I didn't get an answer. Same with Ellen. Ellen was a pensioner. There's probably other people that could do cashier work that need a job, maybe more so than she. So let's not perpetuate the notion or the feeling that it is a good old boy. So whether it is or isn't is independent of the question. How is it done? And let's have an answer. Thank you.
Can I address that one?
Sure.
Okay, if I may, through the chair. The position of the building inspector, there was a need there. Mr. Messenger had retired. Went through and I asked Dave Boomer to look at the file that we had. Mr. Baker wasn't there at the time when he applied a couple years ago. He had not been certified. He was now certified. My father, my mother, I did not realize, I did not put two and two together that Mr. Baker was related to Doc Baker, honestly. I knew that he was in here doing some work. I never put two and two together. I guess that's the downfall of not being a lifelong Allen Park resident or some sort. But I never put those two and two together. We had a need for a building inspector. Mr. Baker was certified. Mr. Baker also happened to be an Allen Park resident. It seemed like a great fit at that point in time to put him in that position. There was no underhandedness there. The mayor was not involved in that position selection at all.
And that's not the point. The point is, when you do HR, you make it a fair hiring process. There might be 6 other building inspectors certified in Liberty.
Yeah, we went through what had already applied before when Mr. Messenger was hired. At that point in time, went back through that list. And honestly, there's not a whole lot of certified building inspectors that are willing, because at that point in time, you have to be willing to give up your license and not do other work in order to be an inspector. So it is, you have to look for that right person that's willing to give up that private career.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Nancy Simmons, and I live on Keppen in Allen Park. And just a couple of things to start with that don't have to be talked about right now, but maybe later in the meeting. On the resolution number 6 about the pump, I'm assuming that someone will be explaining kind of in detail as to exactly what that is and where it is and that kind of thing. And talking about the road construction and road needs, I have heard a little bit of some rumblings about a street. I don't know, I'm not familiar with it, but it's Demeen Street. And evidently it must be like the north half maybe is Melvindale and the south half is Allen Park. And I guess it's become unusable because it's so bad. Nobody can drive down that street. So I just wanted to throw that out, that maybe somebody could take a look at it.
What's the name of the street?
Demeen, I don't know how to spell it.
It's over at the...
By the church.
Thunderbowl near there or something?
Across the street from the church.
Inner city, across from inner city, or no?
No, there's another church right up there.
Okay,
There's another church right up there.
Yeah.
okay.
So that street, we are working with the city of Melvindale, as it is a border street. It's split right down the middle. The problem that come about over there is about 6 or 8 years ago, maybe even a little bit longer than, maybe 10 years ago, asphalt pavement was put down there. That
Yes.
is what's crumbling now. The bigger issue is there's no drainage, and that has to be investigated. And then you're also dealing with another community trying to figure out how that's all gonna work. The only good thing I can say about that street is that we do share the same engineer with the city of Melvindale.
Okay.
So that should help a little bit of arguing between the agencies, engineering agencies.
Okay.
Although Bruce may argue with somebody else in the office, I don't know how they go about it.
The other thing that I wanted to just, and I'm going to talk about advanced disposal, but I have something good to say. Not that the other things, I mean, the other things were legit. But this past week, we had a need for a major garbage pickup, bulk. And I just want to publicly thank both Advanced Disposal, Chris Preston from Advanced Disposal, and Mr. Kibbe for the help, huge help that they were, like with 24 hours notice in helping us get rid of our garbage. And Mr. Preston actually came out to our house and surveyed our need, and he was terrific. He was very, very accommodating, but it was done according to the rules. So I just really appreciate that. We still have to have another bulk pickup this week, but that's okay. I know how to do it now. But I do thank Mr. Kibbe especially for just the concern that he has for the citizens of Allen Park. Really appreciate it. And the last thing that I just wanted to mention is that I think it would be good if maybe one of the council members or something might acknowledge the tragedy from Orlando, Florida, just as a city to give support and encourage prayer and encouragement from our citizens for what has happened down there, and also just to thank the police officers and the fire department for who they are and that we have them, that if something, God forbid, if something were to happen, that we would be well taken care of. So I just thought it would be nice to acknowledge that. Thank you.
Hi, Kurt Mazag, Becker Avenue. Just a little bit of information. Today I had put my daughter's name on a list with advanced disposal to get a smaller garbage can. The number, for those of you who want it, is 888-443-1717. Hit 1 for Allen Park. And I believe her name was Cheryl or Cynthia. Anyway, she put my daughter's name on a list. They're going to call in July and schedule a swap out. So there you go.
See no other citizens coming forward, so I'm going to move to our consent agenda, but the claims and accounts was removed from that, so I'll ask for a motion for the claims and accounts being approved, put before the council.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Rourke, supported by Councilman Cisco. Councilman DeGiulio, you had the question about it. Would you like to go forward?
I do. The MML dues here, it's for $6,277.
What page are you on?
It's under administration, first page.
Oh, I must have missed the page.
2/3 of the way down under 221.
So I think we pay about, what, $260,000 for the insurance per year? Is that approximately correct?
Correct. The item that you're looking at here is for the actual renewal of the membership to the MML, which allows us to be part of the, they're a lobbyist group for the municipalities, also provide training, allow us to access the liability insurance and also the workers' comp insurance. And the answer to your question is we just got the renewal on that. And you're looking at, I think the renewal is going to be $259,000.
Okay. We pay this every year?
We do pay for the dues, and then also for liability insurance has to be renewed every year as well.
Point of order. Can we ask the residents to be quiet in the audience, please?
Yes, please, if their
Thank you.
public comment period is passed.
Thank you.
Okay, just one more thing, and maybe this would be more in Mr. Cady's line. This, it says miscellaneous, it's also under administration. It says Albita, it says professional services, My Deal contractual savings, I'm not sure what that's about. That's also for $5,192.
This one here, I'll try to dance, or try to give you the answer, and if I can't, Mr. Kato will come up and answer as well. This was a contract that actually Emergency Manager Joyce Parker signed with this company. The purpose was for them to seek ways to save money on the AT&T bill, and for their effort of doing that, they got half the savings as their I guess, commission. I just talked to Mr. Katie earlier before the meeting. With the change to the VoIP phone system, we've been able to eliminate a good portion of the AT&T lines. There's certain ones we're just not going to be able to because of how what they're connected to, if it's an alarm system or certain things. But we believe that should eliminate that contract within a short period of time and be done with that completely.
So what is this, yearly or what? I mean, is that, what is that $5,192 for? Is that yearly or is that? Hope not monthly.
If it's, I'm sorry, there was some conversation back there on this one, but if it's the bill for Abilita, that was a contract Joyce Parker signed. It was a 3-year contract. It's paid quarterly, and it was based on 50% of the savings that they found in the system. That they signed a contract, or Joyce did, with AT&T. As Mark was saying, we've been trying to eliminate AT&T. As we do that and we move things over to the VoIP system, I report that to Abilita, and they take those off the bill. So I'm hoping we'll have the rest of the phones switched over very shortly. Now that City Hall is shut down, there are some alarm systems and some other things that are still on AT&T that we're trying to move. But once we do that, that bill from Abilita will go away. They would be entitled, if we stayed or had done nothing, to get that for, I believe, another 9 months.
So it's every 3 months then?
It was a 36-month contract
No,
that
but every
Joyce
3
signed.
months we pay out that close to 6,000. Is it always the same thing, 5,200?
It's based on, well, it's been actually going down a little bit, I believe, because we have been moving lines away from AT&T. But the plan is to totally eliminate it before their contract's even up.
Thank you.
Any other questions on claims and accounts? Hearing none, I'll ask for the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. That's carried. I would like a consent agenda motion for the acceptance of the payroll report, finance overview for May 2016, the budget and actual report, balance sheet for May 2016, cash flow for May 2016, and the permit for Intercity Baptist Church for their fireworks display of June 26th.
Motion.
Support.
Motion by Councilman Templin, supported by Councilwoman Gavareki. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask for the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That's carried. Thank you. We go to resolutions. Approve the Festivities Commission's request to close down Allen Road from Southfield to Roosevelt from August 4th, 5 p.m. to August 7th, 12 p.m.
I'll make that motion, Mayor.
Moved by Councilman
Support.
DiGiulio, supported by Councilwoman Gavareki. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask for the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That's carried. Second resolution to approve the Festivities Commission request to sell beer and wine at the street fair.
Make that motion.
Councilman Cisco has moved. Do I have a second?
Support. Oh, go ahead, Gil.
Supported by Mayor Pro Tem McLeod. Is there any discussion?
I just want to say that I don't approve of us, the city, as a city selling liquor. So I just feel that we should not be doing that. I think we put ourselves in a big liability problem. And I don't want to put it on anybody else. I mean, if they like to drink a little bit, that's fine. But when people drink too much and the city is furnishing it to them, then I think that's a problem for the city.
Any other comments by council? Councilman,
Every year, I think the Festivities Commission does a great job of keeping people in those areas for drinking beer and sometimes wine. But, over the years, we've had a problem with party stores selling unopened containers of beer with glasses and going out the door. There is nothing illegal about that. It becomes illegal when they open up that can and walk on our streets. That becomes illegal. So, and we've had this problem every year, and I don't want to hurt anybody's income as a business person, but somehow we need to address that this year, somehow. Maybe a special meeting with the police officers or whoever that's going to patrol the streets, and with the Festivities Commission, so the Festivities Commission can tell them their concerns about this. I don't know if that's the answer or not, but I'd like to see this problem addressed this year. And every year, we don't address it, or it sort of gets addressed, but then the police officers don't do anything about it because, from what I understand, they're not directed to do anything. So that's just my comments at this point.
Any other comments by council?
I just kind of echo what Harry just said. The Festivities Committee is trying really hard to, and I don't want to cut into anybody's business either, but to try to limit the amount of sales coming out of the stores. They tried last year to put up signs regarding that, and I don't think it was directed or not directed to do that. When I had to call a police officer over to go and talk to somebody about it, and they went into the store, and the store did properly close at 8 o'clock like he had promised, but it just becomes really hard when you're trying to enforce something and keep people in enclosed areas and the businesses selling. And like Harry said, it's not illegal for them to sell it and let them walk out the door. The problem becomes when they open it up out in public. So I'd like to see it addressed as well, so.
Any other comments? We did get the application here, and you'll see it, and one of the reasons it's laid out is because normally, in the streets of Allen Park, it's not illegal to carry alcoholic beverages and consume them on the public's rights of way. Kind of surprised me. But when we approve this, we restrict the public consumption of alcohol in the street fair of walking up and down the area. As you know, or if you don't know, the beer and wine is only dispensed in 2 spots, and you cannot walk with that beer and wine outside of those restricted areas. And anybody else moving with alcoholic spirits can be subject to being ticketed. It is an issue. I've sat there at the information booth and watched certain people pouring the alcohol into pop bottles, other things. People like to find ways not to obey the law. I guess we've heard a lot of that tonight. But it is kind of a controlled situation as to how the street fair committee handles it, so. If there are no other comments, I'll ask for the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
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 Opposed, same sign.
No.
It's carried with 1 vote no, being Mr. DiGiulio. The next item is the resolution to hire a full-time office clerical worker, being Stephanie Prister. Could I have a motion on that, please?
I'll make the motion.
Councilman Cisco, supported by Councilman Templin. Is there any discussion?
One thing, Mayor, where does this Ms. Prisker work? Ms. Prister?
Been me through the chair. Stephanie Prister is currently is a part-time worker in the Records Bureau. She's been there for about 3 years, and prior to that, she's been with the city for 3 years. Most of it with the Records Bureau, but she also was with the manager, or she was involved with the animal shelter prior to us going with the consolidated group.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
I'd just like to add that I'd like to thank our city administrator, Mark Kibbe, for coming to the Human Resources Council Committee and laying this before us. I appreciate that a great deal.
I apologize. I should have put that on here, that we did discuss that too. I
I
apologize.
appreciate that a great deal. So myself, Councilman Templin, and Mayor Pro Tem McLeod all looked at it and talked about it, and we had a nice discussion about it. And
You answered my question.
we're good.
Same with the next one?
Correct.
Absolutely.
Any other questions? I'll call the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That's carried. Third is fourth, resolution to hire a full-time ordinance warden, Ken Simmerly. A motion, please.
Motion.
Support.
Motion by Councilman Cisco, supported by Councilwoman Gavarecki. Any discussion or questions?
Will he be our the only ordinance warden, or do we have other ones too? Is Mr. Tobias still with us?
No, he
He's
left
gone.
back in January.
So we'll only have Mr. Simmerly, is that correct?
Yeah, correct. At this point in time, Mr. Similar will be he'll be the only full-time one we will have, no matter what. But we will be in the process of looking to hire some ordinance officers. I've had discussion with Ken, and I'd like to have him actively involved in that, as well as that he has to kind of work a little bit with these individuals. I shouldn't say a lot with these individuals. So he should have some input as to who the right personality for what he's looking for as well on certain things.
Thank you.
There's always a key to the ordinances, how do you go about it? Is it ticket enforcement, or is it working with the residents and the businesses? I know Ken does an excellent job of going out and trying to work as much as he can, but he gets to a point where he has to issue a ticket, he issues a ticket. And so we did take an approach on an issue with the auto-related businesses with the new parking ordinances. We mailed that information out in an effort to try to say, hey, this is what, come in, so when he shows up at their door, he can, if he has to lay the hammer down, he can lay the hammer down at that point in time, but we try to work with everybody. I think he does a very good job.
I've had some good reports on him. I've heard from people in the city.
Very well respected, not only amongst everybody here at the city and the police department and the court, but also in the neighboring communities as well. And I think that respect may if we don't grab him at this point, may turn into other employment for him elsewhere, and we'd like to not have that happen.
It should be mentioned that Ken Simmerly has worked for the city for approximately 3 years.
3 years in the position.
3 years
he's
as a
in now.
part-time, and his full-time job is way long overdue. He's an asset to our city, and I don't think he makes enough money, so, even at this salary. I just thought I'd throw that out there. For the work that he does.
Any other questions or comments by council? Hearing none, I'll ask for the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That's carried. The next item is the purchase of the 2060 Chevy Tahoe for the police department, and it would be from the state narcotics forfeiture funds.
Motion.
Support.
Motion by Councilman Cisco, supported by Councilman Rourke. Any discussion?
If I'm not mistaken, I think do we need to waive, because we're going to be using my deal for this, do we need to waive the formal bid process or just accept the my deal?
You know what, I usually add that out of because of the nature we do it, but I would, if you guys just want to waive it to see that there's no economic advantage to the city, because you can't get cheaper than getting it right to those dealers. But if someone would like to add that, that would make me comfortable.
Okay, we're adding what phrase?
Just, to bypass the bid process for no economic advantage to the city.
Bypass bid as there is no economic advantage.
We use waive as opposed to bypass.
To waive bid, yeah.
Waive, please.
But you're actually reading the ordinance requires that, so.
Bypass.
Well, it says you make a resolution saying there's no, I think it's tabbed right there.
Yeah. And I usually add this, if you see on the last minutes, I added it, or actually on the next, resolution, you'll see I put it,
Yeah,
but,
that's where I knew I seen it.
that was of an emergency nature. This is, 2-824 exemptions from competitive bidding, and it would be subsection 4. The city council determines that there would be no economic or other advantage to the city to seek competitive bids. This determination shall be stated in the council resolution authorizing the purchase.
If the parties have moved and second, they'll allow that amendment. All right.
Yes.
Is there any other discussion? I just have one question. Since I know of no GM plants in Allen Park, but I know of 11 Ford plants. That's much better than a, I didn't even know what those SUVs are because I'm still driving a 2005 town car, but
It's replacing the old Tahoe, so maybe they're used to that.
Oh, is that what it is?
In general, all of our patrol vehicles for normal patrol use we're going to go with the Ford Explorers. This request is going to replace the Chevy Tahoe that's currently in use by the K-9 officer. His K-9 vehicle is the vehicle with the 112,000 miles on it. The Chevy Tahoe police package is somewhat larger than the Ford Explorer and also allows for us to install a single prisoner compartment in the rear, in addition to having the area for the K-9.
animal.
So this will be the only Chevy Tahoe that we purchase going forward. Everything else that we use here is going to be a Ford product.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you very much. Any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask for the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That's carried. Resolution to ratify city administrator's action to make an emergency purchase and installation of a flight pump from Kennedy Industries in the amount of $19,495 out of the account 59260393000, bypass the city bid process. As to no, same language, Mr. Clerk?
Yeah, this one would just be subsection 5 and of emergency nature and cannot wait.
Oh,
But I'd put APC, Allen Park Code of Ordinances 2-824, subsection 5.
Okay, so that would be added to the motion.
I'll make a motion pending discussion.
Councilman
Support,
Rourke.
Mr. Rourke. Go ahead, let Mr. Templin have it.
Moved by Councilman Rourke, supported by Councilman Templin. Discussion.
Yeah, through the chair, yeah. I'm gonna go through the memo. I hate to read to you, because you guys all have it, and the public has already seen it, but, basically, last Monday, DPS Director Terry Curd informed us of an emergency need to replace the sewage pump at the Lowe's Pump Station, which is located at the Independence Marketplace on Outer Drive at Southfield. The pump had failed because of grease that is being illegally discharged into the sanitary sewer system by one of the businesses in the complex. Now, there's a couple of different restaurants in there. This is Applebee's, Johnny Carino's, Five Guys. I think there's a 1,000 Degree Fahrenheit. I think there might be a Subway in there as well.
Well, this didn't happen in the last month.
No, this has happened for a while. So, since there was only, the pump finally died. They'd been doing some maintenance on it, and it finally died. So I authorized Terry to move forth and install the pump because there was only the one working pump. Kennedy Industries is also the vendor that we've used for all of our other pumps. All of our pumps are in this brand. So it's a common piece for us. We went with the full new pump, and the total was with the contingency is the $19,495. We went with that new pump because of the installation. It was 1 week versus 3 to 4 weeks with the refurbished pump. The $3,500 that we spent more, we felt that the importance of getting that pump back in there. If we have a failure, you're going to spend a lot more than $3,500 on a lawsuit to any of those locations over there. Terry's included a bunch of documentation there, what he looked at, and for the on that necessary purchase there. The illegal discharge of the grease, though, we're looking at that. We're going to be doing some smoke testing, and then once that is determined, we find a smoking gun.
Okay.
The perpetrator, whoever's doing this, we're going to go after them. And in fact, I think I did see a message come across from Joe, is that one of the things we really need to do here is tighten up the ordinance involving a lot of these issues. So we have those hammers. We rely a little bit too much on DWSD or maybe even DUA ordinance, more so the DWSD ordinances. And we really need to have those hammers in our own hand as opposed to utilizing those documents. So again, it's a request to ratify that action of that purchase. And I think that install actually already happened yesterday, so it is already done. So you're actually ratifying the purchase and now the install totally done. I included some pictures. I believe you have the colored versions that were in the package. They might have been sent out by Deb later, All right, I'll pass these out, but just so the public can see, this is the pump there, and that is the grease that is accumulating. So we know we got a problem there. We got to go back. We tried to be nice and ask them not to discharge into the sewers. That has not worked, and so the smoke test will go back. We'll be able to find who that is and go from that point. But we have a serious issue there. We're not too sure who it is, but we kind of suspect there's a couple. We don't think it's the Fahrenheit, 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit. One, he's too new, and he doesn't have a lot of grease in this manner. We don't believe it's Subway. They tell us they're healthy, so.
Is Leo's Coney Island still?
Leo's Coney Island could be one of those issues. It could be, I think, Leo's, Johnny Carino, Applebee's, or Five Guys. If I had to bet, I'd take a bet. I won't tell you what it is, but I think you all might be leaning that same way as well. So but we'll find out.
Thanks.
Was there also a,
These are good now.
we also have an amount of time that it took us to clean the sewer and then install the new pump so that we're.
Yeah, so Kennedy did all that.
We
so we'll
have,
be able to
we have
go
a
after
good
them.
damage clause that we can hand them and say we can do it the easy way or the hard way. And I would say if you've got multiple smoking guns, I'd send them both the same bills. Yeah, if the trap, Terry was going through and said if there's if they would empty out their traps on a regular basis and do maintenance there, we won't end up with this issue. But unfortunately, somebody's just not following the proper procedures, how to handle their grease traps. Could we send all the people up there a notice and say we've just gone through this cost?
Yeah, we have done that. We'll go after them all again as well. So.
Can we require these businesses at some point, and maybe this is an ordinance thing, that they have to submit when their grease traps are cleaned?
Yeah, Terry's acquired a few different ordinances, and again, the problem that we have is that the ordinance that we have on the books does not allow for what you're requesting. So we'll have to add that to a new ordinance to allow for that. It has to be done though. This is a $20,000 issue here. We cannot be going through, even if we do, we are able to have restitution from the culprit. It's just not a process we want to go through. We don't want to have any chance of a flooding situation for anybody. It's way too costly.
Yeah, I will say this, that most restaurants neglect cleaning their grease traps because it's hidden away, you don't see it, and they only address it when it becomes a problem.
Correct. Yeah, I imagine it's going to be a cost. There's probably a larger cost associated with it.
Well, you're in the restaurant business, you got a cost. One of them is cleaning your grease trap. One of them is maintaining your fire system.
I would also just point out to council, he did it, say, because it was an emergency, we went and paid $3,500 more. So as far as I'm concerned, there's a $3,500 additional damage besides all the labor.
Okay. Well, I mean, the costs are the costs.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's 3,500 more because you weren't able to.
Yeah, for timing.
But I mean, it clearly was a cost you had to pay, right?
Correct, yeah, because the other option was
3 to 4 weeks before you could get a new pump.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean the 19,000?
Well, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, the new pump was going to be around $14,225, $250, somewhere in that range, and we were at $17,725 plus the 10% contingency.
Okay, so it may be even more.
Yeah.
Well, we can start out asking for the whole pump. Anyway, any other discussion by council? Hearing none, I'll ask for the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That's carried. If CFO would like to come forward with his budget amendments, I'd like a motion to put those amendments
Motion.
before us.
Support.
Motion by Councilwoman Gavarecki, supported by Councilman Cisco.
Templin.
Templin.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Under the Uniform Budgeting Act, I'm required to bring forward budget amendments where I see that maybe a department is going to be out of line at the end of the year. Even though I feel that, you know, we're fairly certain that overall in the general fund we're going to be under budget, I still have to make those adjustments, or I get a nasty letter from the state saying, why were these over? Normally I would bring this to you at the last meeting of the year, but because the RTAB meeting's the 22nd, and it's really the last chance I have to get those approved, I'm trying to do an estimate and get this done earlier than I normally would. Considering the fact that we have a $23 million budget and we're less than 0.5% out, I feel pretty comfortable with this. But you really have in front of you 5 budget amendments. The first one is for the clerk's office, and it really is more of a budget adjustment. He spent $9,500 more in his expenses for his elections. I think that was clerks or the election inspectors. But he brought in more money on the revenue side because he was able to bill the state for one of those elections. So we're asking just to adjust the budget. In other words, raise the revenue estimate and increase the expense side equally. The other 4 are actually departments that are over budget for various reasons. In finance, it was because Plant Moran was utilized more than we thought they would need it to be because of the 2016 or 15 audit. We spent more there because at this time I was the administrator and the finance director. I had to rely on them a little bit more than I thought I would to get the audit done. The treasurer was over a little bit, about $8,000, and that was mostly due to postage. We did a lot of mailings this year. We've been doing a lot more mailings as we try to get more information out to the residents. And it's really no fault of the treasurer's. That's just where the postage budget is, and we are over there. The third one is the City Hall budget. And I think I warned you this was coming before because we didn't turn off the utilities over there at City Hall when we thought we would. We were continuing to pay those bills, and that ran that over budget, so that's about $27,000 there. And then lastly, the DPW, that we had underestimated the amount of money we would need for the DB pension plan. And when we do that budget, we try to look at how the employees will be allocated. Are they going to be in water more? Are they going to be in DPW more? And we just missed that split. So it's really, you're going to see less spent in water and more in DPW because that's where they worked and that's where the pension's coming out of. So those are the budget amendments I'm asking for the 15-16 fiscal year. Any questions?
Any questions of council? Thank you, Mr. Kibbe. I'm going to ask for the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
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 Opposed, same sign.
Thank you very much.
That's carried. We're now down to other business. Does any of the council have any last comments? Councilman DeGiulio?
I'll just go real quick, and I'll name them in alphabetical order. We want to welcome Adam, Brandon, Nathan, and Zachary, and hopefully with these 4 new officers here, we'll get more coverage on our streets, and there will be more safety for our citizens and residents.
Oh,
Councilwoman Gavrecki.
yep. Thank you. First off, it's a good day in Allen Park when you hire 4 new officers, so thank you for everybody that worked really hard on that. Secondly, I wanted to thank Mr. Katie and probably whoever else helped you in getting our Standard & Poor's rating to an A-. Also, I've been asked to announce that CERT will be having their first annual car show at Lowe's on September 17th from 7 to 3. It's rain or shine. There are flyers on the podium, so please feel to come out and support your CERT members. Secondly, just want to say I had to miss last month's meetings due to my dad being sick, so just please keep him in your prayers. We need him. Thanks.
Councilman Cisco?
Yeah, I just want to address a few things. And in light of what's, happened in Orlando with the mass shootings, and the day before that, a young singer got killed for somebody who was stalking her or decided he would stalk her, walked up to her and killed her in a meet and greet. And so anybody can get this can happen anywhere. And this kind of goes back to what I asked before a month or so ago about training for City Hall employees and other employees in light of this tragedy, that we have some kind of training of some kind, active shooter, live shooter. What are we supposed to do? I think this is really important. This stuff is happening weekly, if not daily, around the country. We are not immune from it. In the almost 5 years, and some others have more time in than I do here, we've seen some, whether by email or by phone or by podium, some people who are somewhat off balance, disturbed. And all that can create some bad news for us at some point. And I really think this is important for us to do. I mentioned it a month and a half ago, I think, and haven't really heard anything about it. I know we're busy doing important things, but I think this is important. And not only the training protects our citizens that come in here on a regular basis, especially council meetings. And one of the things that we have with department heads coming to our meetings is we should have at all times a police officer at these meetings. It should just be mandatory. We now have enough police officers. There's nothing wrong with having a police officer sit here for the hour or two that we have a meeting and make sure that things are safe. I'm not going to rely on somebody bringing in a gun that carries a gun that's going to protect me that I don't even know if they have a gun or not. I think this is a really important issue, and we need to address it citywide with all our employees to what to do, where to go, what do we do. So I hope that gets taken care of. And you know, my heart goes out to all those people that were senselessly murdered. And I'd like to address, Mr. McGusson had brought up about the businesses and garbage, so we'll get the garbage cans again. I took a picture today down the street from me of a business that has 4 containers, their own containers, 4 bags of garbage, and a box of garbage, right on my street of Cortland. And I can look down my street and I see all the really nice cans. I don't see anywhere near the amount of garbage flying down the street like I used to, because it's all contained. Those containers are great. So it brings up an issue, and I don't believe it's in our ordinance that businesses have to have their own dumpster trash container. Some do, and I know it's provided in the downtown district, downtown Allen Park, but there are others that are putting out a lot of garbage, and that gets put on our bill because that is counted as weight. Might not be a lot, but it is something. So we need to look at that, of how to address that issue. It's just not fair that everybody on the street has their own garbage containers that have been supplied by the city, and here's this business, they get to do what they want. Not right. And as the department heads are going to be showing up, which I appreciate a lot, and one of the reasons why I think that's a good idea is that twice a month we have these meetings, council meetings, where we show off the city. And this is what we do. We're informative of everything. How could we be informative without department heads here? They're the experts of their departments. And there's nothing to take away from anybody else, our city administrator or anybody else. But I always know that Bob Cady's always in the back of the room. He's always here. Pat Hawkins is always here unless there's something going on. Maureen Armstrong is always here. She doesn't have to be here, really, if she doesn't want to, but she thinks it's important, and I agree. So everybody else can show up too, just in case. And I think it looks better for the city as a whole when we all come together and we all work together for a common goal. and that's to make the city better. So I just want to be able to say that's a good idea. We should enforce it. And the Rick Road issue, it's a problem. It's a big problem. And there's no longer going to be an excuse. We don't have enough police officers. And I'm hoping that excuse goes away because I am tired of hearing about it. I've been hearing about it for a long time. I'm not saying it's not true because it was true. But the allocation of resources for our police officers need to put in different areas is very important. Should be taken care of. The citizens that complain, that have to go through this, that live in this city, should be heard. Should be heard and listened to and taken seriously. And I know before I had talked about a red light camera, I know some people said it's illegal or whatever, not constitutional. Still like to look into that. Sometimes some of these things that we could do, a red light camera, although it wouldn't help too much on REEK, but a red light camera would help in a lot of situations. Cortland and Ecorse. Every single day, there's at least a half a dozen plus cars that blow through that red light way after it's red. Way after it's red. And I'm sure that happens in other parts of the city also. I just happen to be aware of it because it's right down the street from me. I see it. So, just like to thank all the new police officers for coming to work here in a great city like Allen Park. They're going to be very happy that they're employed here. And hope they stay and hope we hire a few more. So, thank you.
Jump in real quick on that one.
Yes.
If I may, through the chair. Pat Hawkins over at Recreation has done an active shooter to his training with his staff.
He said that the last time.
Yep, and then also, since I think that last time, or maybe a couple weeks before, the library has also gone through that. I have that presentation that Pat had, and I'll work with the chief to see if there's anything additional that we could distribute here for the staff here, as well as DPS. We'll get that.
And the biggest
information
targets.
out. Yep.
Which is us. Slightly, just a little bit of a joke, okay? Don't anybody take me seriously.
Go, Gail? I'll go. Well, lots been said. We missed the students out there, but police officers, welcoming them and their families to Allen Park. When we talked a little bit about Reek Road, for those, again, as I mentioned earlier, call Gary Ronchek, our county commissioner for this area, because a lot of that traffic coming off of Allen Road, if we can get that, no left turn at certain times, emergency vehicles only, it's going to deter a lot of that traffic and flying through. Make them go up to Wick to a stop sign, go up to Goddard and a stop sign or a light to make those turns, just to alleviate some of that traffic. And then speaking with all the traffic, school's out. So I think this week is the last week for a lot of schools, so pay attention to the students, the neighbors. Take care of your neighbors as well. If the grass isn't getting cut, find out why. Maybe they need help and cut it for them. Ms. Simmons, thank you for bringing up Orlando as well. It's something every time you hear, as Harriet mentioned too, an incident, it's bigger than the last one, the last one, the last one, and it's just sad. But thank you all for coming. Enjoy the warm weather.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Not to be redundant, but very happy about the hiring of the police, and to get one additional than we thought we were going to get at the last minute is truly pleasant to know about. The traffic situation, understanding on roads like Reek and Manor is a lot heavier than on other residential areas. You see it all the time, the speeding, the ignoring of the stop signs. I just pray that if anything occurs, it's two people who ignore stop signs meeting one another and not an innocent person. I also have issues with people who drive on suspended licenses and continue to drive drunk even though they've been cited 3 or 4 times. And in fact, sent a letter to the News Herald on that very matter because I'm sick and tired of reading of innocent people being injured by people who will not address their illnesses. I think if you have some issues on your streets that you can develop a log on and a pattern, that will be of great assistance, because even with an additional 4 officers, we have a lot of streets in Allen Park. It's a matter of timing. They can't always be there. And that's precisely why I asked Mr. Worth if there were certain times of the day when these occurrences happened, so that you can focus on these time periods. And then the police can be there at those time periods and hopefully deter some of them. I think that some of the, I think that the idea of a no left turn onto Reek is an excellent one, and needs to be pursued, and encourage a number of people to contact Gary Voronchik. Keeping everyone in our thoughts and prayers, and praying that we don't continue this madness. And may you all have a wonderful evening.
I'd like to thank everybody for coming and your comments, and congratulations to the new police officers that have been hired. May they have a long and safe career.
Treasurer?
Just a reminder, tax bills will be coming out the end of the month.
You want to put a damper on a meeting, don't you?
And again, a reminder that the taxes are going to change for those people who pay taxes in the Allen Park School District. They will be collecting the full debt amount in the summer and nothing for that debt amount in the winter. So there's going to be a little change, and you're probably going to have to contact your mortgage company if you have an escrow account. And thank you for coming.
July, too, that's later. Clerk, is there anything that you'd like to say tonight?
Thank you all for coming out tonight. God bless you and good night.
Yeah, I too want to thank everybody, and Orlando was a real tragedy. And I guess the one thing that really bothers me, and maybe it's just government, the shooter had been identified by the FBI. What's the other, Homeland Security had been notified. So we had 2 agencies that notified the guy. Those rifles are supposed to be reported. You know, if somebody's filing a report and you're trying to stop trouble, somebody has to read the report. So you have to ask yourself, what happened? Now, admittedly, he bought the guns 1 week before this thing happened. So maybe just getting the report, by the time you go through, that gun shop has to report it. I don't know if it reports to the state, reports definitely to one of those 2 agencies. Maybe there's not enough time, and maybe that's why we have to say, hey, maybe there has to be a longer waiting period so that this information gets passed and can come back, and we can say aye, yes, or no to this person being entitled to have weapons such as this man had. This doesn't lessen the tragedy, but it just bothers me when I hear that we had the information about this person. So the other thing is, and as I had told a couple of the citizens that came forward, when we 4 of us that are, 5 of us, 5 of us were on the last council, but when we came in, I think it was in January, we got a report from the county about the 10 most dangerous places in the county for vehicular accidents. And Allen Park had 3 of them, and guess where they were? They were on Southfield. They're between Oakwood and Roosevelt. So it isn't just the fact that we may be writing tickets up there. It's an attempt to slow down something that is one of the largest accident areas in the county.
Isn't that a county or state road?
You've had your chance to comment. I'm making,
commenting on what you're talking.
you are out of order, sir, please. And I think, given the amount of personnel that we had that we could put on the road, it was appropriate. I think with the new people coming and with the study that's been done, so we can get an idea of when the heaviest traffic periods are on roads like Reek, if we get other statements from other people about other roads that have this issue, this is the way that we can try and effectively deal with having more personnel. But there's still a limit on the number of personnel. And what people have to realize too, it's not just vehicle enforcement that our police departments engage in. We have officers driving through the neighborhoods at all times and trying to prevent crimes against homeowners and their property, which is really serious and which I think we've always given a priority to. And so I think we have to remember these things when we try and deploy people to safeguard us in our homes, on our streets, wherever we're at in our city. So it is always going to be an issue. And I guess I got a note here that the DDA's car show is next Wednesday evening at the 22nd. Hope you'll come out and enjoy the evening and see the cars. It does mean that we're shutting down Allen Road from Southfield to Roosevelt. I don't know just when we started to shut it down.
Like 3 o'clock.
I think it's pretty early in the afternoon. It's 2 or 3 o'clock until about 9 o'clock at night, so you will have to take alternate routes if you're driving in the city in that area. With that, I would like a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Moved by Councilman Cisco. Support? Councilman Rourke, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We are adjourned at 10 after 8.